I got cystic fibrosis. See, I've got cystic fibrosis.
Hello everyone, welcome back to Staying Salty. It has been so long since we've sat down and filmed a video and talked to you guys, so I'm so excited to be back. A lot has been happening in my life. If you can't tell, this is not my normal background. So I actually moved. I'm up at my boyfriend's mother's house, living in their basement for now, and it's been really great. But the reason for that is, if you don't follow me on social media, we are moving to the Caribbean. Yeah! We're moving to St. Thomas, and I'll link my post about that down below. But it's been a crazy summer. We're actually, by the time you watch this, we'll be 3 days away from a month-long road trip that we're doing. Nick and I both quit our jobs, and we're going down to the Caribbean to work on a project that we have through my family business, which got hurt by the hurricanes. And it's honestly so exciting. But I'll leave all that down below. On my Instagram, I have a whole story about that in the highlighted section, so if you want to check that out, I explain more about that there. But with that, you can tell it's been a little bit of a hectic end of the summer, which is why we've kind of had to take a little bit more time off Staying Salty, but we are finally back and just in time for school. So I hope you all have had a great beginning of the school year, even though it's always a little bit bittersweet. I was always a little bit of a nerd. I loved school. So that is exactly what today's topic is about. It's about going back to school, school with CF in general, and how to get through hardships with school and navigating all of that, which can be a little bit of a tricky situation sometimes. So to start off, if you know my story, I didn't really get sick until about college. So I didn't have to endure a lot of these hardships or having to overcome them in middle school or high school or anything like that. The most I really had to do in high school was leave school for about a day or so because of surgery, and then deal with all of my enzymes and my medications, which my high school had a policy of, keeping all medications up with a nurse. But in my case, the nurse was actually up in the lower school, which was a hike from the high school up the hill into a different building. So my school worked out with me where I could just keep that on hand so I wouldn't have to, miss class and miss more time walking all the way up there to get something just for eating a granola bar or something. So that was really the only thing I really had to overcome in high school. I was very open, as you guys can already know, about all of my illnesses, my CF in general. I actually did an 8th grade speech about my CF, which subsequently, 8 years later, my brother did his 8th grade speech on CF. So everybody knew, it wasn't a secret, and that really made things a lot easier, so nobody really questioned why I was coughing or why I was doing anything that I was doing. But I still played sports, I did everything in high school, so it wasn't really until college where this became an issue at all. And in college, I got super sick for pretty much the entire 4 years. I think the most I ever missed was probably 2 or 3 months out of school for the whole year. And that was a lot. Somehow I still ended up graduating in 4 years with a bachelor's in psychology, which was awesome. And I somehow ended up with a 3.75 something, a cum laude honors GPA, which was insane. But as I will explain, not something I would recommend for someone else. The first reason is because I simply just ran myself into the ground. I spread myself too thin. I tried to do everything, and my health suffered because of that. I think because college and my studies was the one thing in my life I could control. I couldn't control when I got sick, couldn't control a lot of other things that were going on in my life at the time. So I really hyper-focused on college and my grades and doing extracurriculars, and I got into a sorority and I got so involved and I loved all of it. But even though I was doing my meds every day and doing everything to the T, I was just running myself ragged. And that is my first piece of advice, is to set yourself up for success. what I mean by that is to simply take less classes. Honestly, time your classes around your treatment schedule so that you will be more likely to do your treatments. I honestly could probably count on one hand how many treatments I missed all through college just because I'm so religious about it. But setting yourself up for success by timing those classes around when you'd be able to do your treatments really gives you the most optimum way to keep yourself healthy. What I did, I usually didn't have classes before 10 a.m. so I was able to do my treatments, because if you're on schedule for an 8 a.m. class, you know you're getting up at 6:30, maybe 6 o'clock to do your treatments, get dressed, get ready, eat, and then get to an 8 o'clock class. And that's not gonna set yourself up for success whatsoever. So I would time mine about 10 o'clock, 10 to 2-ish, and then time for my nighttime meds, and then either do a 6 to 8 class or just have a class right before 6 o'clock so that I could do my meds after that. Definitely setting yourself up for success with all the timing of it, but also the course load that you take. Don't do what I did and take like 16 credits your first semester and take all the hard classes. That was not fun. Just take basic classes. Take 12 credits. If you have to, take less. But make sure that you're still enjoying college while also keeping yourself healthy. Finding that balance, whatever your health warrants, is what's key to everything. To make sure you're enjoying yourself so that you're not spending all of your time studying and then doing your meds and then sleeping. College is so exciting because it's about being social, meeting new people, really growing as a human, growing as a person. And it takes away from it if you're spending so much time getting sick or not getting sick, preventing getting sick, and then doing all of your studying as well. So on top of that, when you do get your classes, get all your schedule, talk to your teachers day one. Set all of that up so that they are fully aware of what your situation is before anything ever arises. I know for me, I would go to each of my professors and be like, hey, so this is the deal. I have cystic fibrosis. I most likely will be missing class at some point because of it. And when, not if, when I do, how is the best way for me to go about missing this class? Should I email you? Does it not matter? If it's a test, should I email you right then? And how do we set up then me taking the test outside of that? What is your protocol? How is it best to work with you? And many teachers are going to be very different. Some don't care. Others want you to email right away, want a doctor's note, want all of this. And just being able to know in your mind what to do if a situation arises will make you, it'll just put your mind so much more at ease. And also when you communicate with them day one, when you do email them saying, oh crap, it's 9 a.m. and our test is at 2 p.m. and I'm not gonna make it, they're not sitting there saying, oh, well, this person clearly just really knows how to make up excuses and is trying to miss the test. Obviously, we all know that that's not right and that's not what's happening, but you have to put yourself in their shoes and realize if you're getting an email 2 hours before a test, what are they gonna think? So really setting it up so that communication and that line of communication is already there before anything ever happens is super important. But even if you do that, I encountered this, some people are just not going to want to help you. I had one teacher where I actually was put in the hospital the day of the test, and I emailed her saying, look, this is what's happening, I'm sorry, there's a flood. Either way, I had a teacher where I missed the day of the test, I got put in the hospital, so I emailed her, and we were great communicating after that. I was in the hospital for about 2 weeks, 3 weeks actually. But then when I came back and I said, okay, when can I take this test? She simply said, oh, you're not gonna be able to take that test. You email me the day of, the policy is 24 hours before a test. You can imagine how I reacted. But in those situations, you really have to know your rights as a student, stand your ground, and don't get pushed over by somebody who, you know, has a different agenda or thinks that they're right in this situation, because your extenuating circumstances far overrides any syllabus, criteria that they put out. This situation actually eventually went up to the dean of students, who I was actually working on a project with, so it worked out in my favor. But in those situations, I would have gotten like an F for the class, because we had three tests that entire class, and getting a 0 for one entire test, I couldn't do that. I couldn't. And you know my whole GPA and my thing about classes anyway. So I had to really stand my ground and know what I deserved, know what I knew was right, and I was definitely able to proceed from there, and eventually I was able to take the test. So if that situation arises, know who you can talk to your advisor, talk to the dean, but don't stop until you get someone who's gonna help you. And obviously, as people with cystic fibrosis, we know that. We know that we have to advocate for ourselves and know what we're worth. So besides all that, obviously in college, have a great time, have so much fun. Besides getting sick, I was very open about my CF. I had a roommate my first year of college, in the dorms, had my vest under my desk and everything, and it worked out great. I had my door open all the time. People in my hall knew that I had CF. They would hear the vest and come down hall and be like, Chelsea! And it was so fun. And being open about it and going into the situation with that kind of persona and perspective really helped me have a great and enjoyable time in college and in the dorms. But those are my little pieces of advice. Besides that, you can always talk to the wellness center or the disability center. I personally never went that route, just because I was able to navigate everything on my own, and I never really felt the need to. I was sick enough, but I think it's just a personality thing. I just never felt the need to go to them. But for you and for anyone else, they are so helpful. They can be so helpful. And for anyone with invisible illnesses, they provide so many external pieces of, just aids for you throughout college, throughout your classes. So it's definitely worth looking into if you're into college and getting ready for it. So those are all my pieces of advice, mostly for college, but most of all, have fun. Join a sorority, they're kind of fun. Make friends, do sports, do clubs, do all of it. And they're not lying when they say it's the best 4 years of your life. I'm 4 years out, and I still miss it all the time. But I have lifelong friends from it, and I would never change it for the world. So for all of you in college, keep going, and let me know down below your tips, because we really want to start communicating with you. And if you made it through all this video, definitely comment down what has helped you in your school, college experience, or any stories like mine where it didn't quite work out and what you had to do in the end. So comment down below, check us out on our Instagram, on our Facebook, hit the little bell icon, hit subscribe, all that jazz, and we will see you next week. So thanks so much for watching, guys. All right, bye.
I got cystic fibrosis. See, I've got cystic fibrosis.